Greetings, folks. Well, what an eventful weekend after polling day on Friday at the Killarney Count Centre. We note that Radio Kerry stated on their social media election news update that there was a delay in announcement of the first count in Kerry constituency due to an apparent discrepancy between the number of ballots and the weights of the ballots for some candidates. Look, I've been looking there at some of the polling stations where I got votes, and people now have contacted me directly and told me, Michelle, that figure couldn't be right because, 4 of them voted for me in that polling station, and there was only 2 names marked off, I believe, on that polling station in a particular school. So I have lots of questions now to ask the returning officer, Mr. Padraig Burke, in relation to, what happened in Turin-Cahill and also other queries. So I've put a letter together to Padraig Burke, and I'd just like to share with you the queries that I've raised with him this morning for him to address, because I, as a candidate who ran in the general election, am entitled to these questions be answered. So I put it to them that I would appreciate if he could furnish me with an up-to-date response in relation to the letter that I'd sent him on Saturday evening in relation to the Garda Pulse investigation into Turin-Cahill. Now, I got a Pulse ID number on Saturday night after 2 hours of contacting the Gardaí for it. Then I also asked Padraig Burke, could he furnish me with an explanation as to why the count in Killarney had to be stopped on Saturday night. I also asked him, did any person raise an issue about the weight of the ballot papers at the count centre? I also asked him, did any other candidate make any complaint in relation to any misconduct happening at the count centre or at any other polling station in Kerry? I also asked him, where did the Turin-Cahill ballot boxes go after it was taken from Turin-Cahill polling station on Friday night? Who was in charge of the security of this ballot box? I also asked him, could he confirm the name of the security firm who manned the count centre in Killarney on Saturday night when the count was stopped? And I also asked him to confirm why there was no Garda presence at any of the polling stations I visited on the Friday night. I also asked him that I was requesting now as soon as possible to see certain polling box ballot polling papers, as I'm anxious now in certain particular areas, as people have now come forward and told me they voted number 1 for me, and it doesn't seem to project that with what was stated by you, the returning officer. Look, I've also said to him, could he confirm in writing the name of the polling clerk who was in Turin-Cahill polling station along with the presiding officer on Friday night when I called in to the polling station. Then I asked him also how many polling stations had a Garda presence on Friday night. Then I asked him, could he please confirm if any ballot box was exchanged for another, and please confirm how many ballot boxes are identified apart from how they're identified apart from the label on them. Is there a serial number embedded in the plastic ballot boxes? I also asked him, could he confirm the type of cable ties that are used on these ballot boxes, as they're special cable ties, and what defines the difference of these cable ties, and is there a serial number on these, and who has access to these? I also asked him, could he confirm the security company's name that was used in the Killarney Count Centre on both the Saturday and the Sunday, and could he also confirm why I only got 3 passes, car passes for my 16 agents, when I believe that other candidates got 16 passes, car passes. I also asked him to furnish the list of all the candidates, final list of all the candidates' votes, along with all the votes in every polling station in Kerry. And I asked him, could he please explain why the quota was so high to explain that. I also requested him to know, did any other candidate make any complaint in relation to the number of ballot papers per box versus the amount on the register list of who were able to vote in any polling station in Kerry. I also asked him to furnish me with a copy of the notes that he made when he investigated with the presiding officer in Turin-Cahill's polling station in relation to the incident that I witnessed and reported to the Gardaí. I asked him also to provide, furnish me with the supplier contact details of who supplied and made the plastic ballot boxes that were used in Kerry on polling day, and if he could confirm if the Kerry polling boxes were interfered with at any stage in Kerry. I also asked him to furnish me with how many ballot books were printed for all the Kerry polling stations and how many ballot papers were used on Friday night, the total number, along with the name of the company who printed these polling ballot books. Look, I'm giving the returning officer the opportunity now to answer my queries, because I believe I'm entitled to answers to these, and it'll be very interesting now to see what he will come back with, and I'll keep you posted on that. Because back in the day when I was doing polling clerk, there were steel boxes, there was always a guard inside the polling station, and there was one outside the polling station. There was a lock put on the polling ballot box, and then we were given, as polling clerks, all these different envelopes. If, we made a mistake with a ballot paper, they were all given separate envelopes. So I'd be requesting to see all this now in relation to Turin-Cahill and in relation to the ballot boxes in Knocknagoshel as well, and a few more areas as well that I have concerns over. But I'm first giving him the opportunity to come back with my questions to respond to them, and I will let you know that. I also had a lot of queries from other independent candidates throughout the country who were very disappointed with the vote they got, and lots of them now are questioning, like, how come we as independent candidates didn't get the fair airtime in the media that we should have got, equal fair time in comparison to the larger, bigger nationalist parties. And, I believe this is a breach of our constitutional rights, and it's not fair. But, that's something we'll all be looking into, I believe, in relation to this. But look, questions need to be answered now, like, what happened in Turin-Cahill on Friday night, and the questions. These are very valid questions that I've raised now with Padraig Burke, the returning officer, and I'm sure he'll come back to me and respond to them. In relation to the Radio Kerry interview with Michael Healy-Rae, a lot of the public have contacted me in relation to this, because they said there was a lot of concerns about what Michael Healy-Rae said in that interview, and I've requested now Radio Kerry to send me a copy of that, and once I have it, I'll let you know, and I'll get it to you. So look, I'll keep you posted, folks. I'm going nowhere. I'll be running again in the local elections and in the general elections. We definitely need change, but there seems to be the same kind of pattern happen now throughout the country, which is concerning for a lot of independents, as to why this happened. And, we'll get to the bottom of it, and answers now need to be sought. So look, I'm Michelle Keane. I'm still keen on my county. Garamila Mahagav.